Welcome and greetings, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. This video is about Jeffrey Epstein. Even after his supposed suicide, and I'm gonna just assume that he is dead, justice must still be served. Epstein's accusers demand accountability even after his death. You know, in the same fashion that they treated the Michael Jackson estate. Even after his death, people still went after Michael Jackson. And the same holds true for Jeffrey Epstein. So Jeffrey Epstein's alleged victims said they would have preferred their day in court over Saturday's news that the millionaire financier and accused sex trafficker died by apparent suicide in his New York City jail cell. Yes, you heard it right. This article, by the way, came from NBC News, written by Phil McCasland and Nicole Acevedo. I need to give them credit for making the mistake of calling him a millionaire financier when everyone and their mother knows that Jeffrey Epstein's finances have always made him, and people have always referred to him as a billionaire, not a millionaire. But I digress. Jennifer Eros, who accused Epstein of raping her when she was 15 after she was recruited outside her New York City high school, said his death does little for the deep scars that she and her fellow victims still carry. Quote, "I am angry Jeffrey Epstein won't have to face his survivors of his abuse in court," she said in a statement. "We have to live with the scars of his actions for the rest of our lives, while he will never face the consequences of the crimes he committed, the pain and trauma he caused so many people. Epstein is gone, but justice must still be served. I hope the authorities will pursue and prosecute his accomplices and enablers and ensure redress for his victims." Unquote. Eros is not alone in that desire. Civil rights attorney Lisa Bloom, who represents some of the women who accused Epstein, released the statement of an unnamed accuser who said, quote, "I will never have a sense of closure now. I'm angry as hell that the prison could have allowed this to happen," unquote. Other lawyers for Epstein's accusers called the act selfish and said they would continue pushing for accountability. Well, let me address a couple things here. The fact that she thinks that she has to live with these scars for the rest of her life without Jeffrey Epstein having to face the consequences of his crimes. But you can rest assured that this devil here, Jeffrey Epstein, he will face the consequences of his crimes. There is a God, whether you believe it or not, and he will be judged for his actions. He thinks he got away with what he did, but you can rest assured that this coward, this sex trafficker, this child molester didn't get away with much. Yes, they say he committed suicide. That's another issue, because like they say, and I'm going to repeat this, that she says in a statement, "I will never have a sense of closure now. Quote, I'm angry as hell that the prison could have allowed this to happen," unquote. What she probably is referring to is how the fact that Jeffrey Epstein was on suicide watch. Why, at his death, they had taken him off suicide watch is a whole nother discussion. You can stop with the conspiracy theories. Stop with that. The question is, why was he taken off suicide watch? That is a major concern and a huge negligence for the prison system and the warden and those who were on duty should be fired. That's without a doubt. But let's continue. So, Brad Edwards, who represents many of Epstein's accusers, said the millionaire, as they put it, financier's apparent suicide was an attempt to strip his victims of finality and justice. He urged anyone with information to come forward. Like someone's gonna know what he was gonna do. Quote, while we engage in contentious legal battles for more than a decade, this is not the ending anyone was looking for, he said in a statement. The victims deserve to see Epstein held accountable, and he owed it to everyone he hurt to accept responsibility for all the pain he caused. Unquote. Well, you can rest assured that they say these kind words like this right now because the man is dead. But you can rest assured if he was alive, they would be fighting tooth and nail to make sure that he was found not guilty. Because in the world of white supremacy, a billionaire like Jeffrey Epstein, even if he was a multi-millionaire, even if you want to go that far to bend backwards a little bit, he still would have walked with the kind of money he has. Anyways, Bloom said that the civil case against Epstein's estate would continue. Well, I would hope so for the victims. Quote, the criminal case ended with Epstein's death, Ron Kuby, a civil rights and defense lawyer, told NBC News, but the lawsuit continues against his estate. It essentially means that the litigation goes on, but the defendant voluntarily absented himself, he said. In other words, he admitted his guilt by committing suicide. He admitted his guilt. Guilty men don't kill themselves while going to trial. Moving on, Kuby explained that plaintiffs in Epstein's case would have to file a claim to freeze his assets ahead of a civil court battle over his estate. Bloom said that while it's not possible to criminally prosecute someone who has died, civil suits can gather monetary damages so victims, quote, can get full and fair compensation for the lifelong damage that he caused them, unquote. Well, that's true, because that's exactly what you guys did to Michael Jackson. This monster, Jeffrey Epstein, deserves exactly what you guys had did to Michael Jackson. Quote, we intend to proceed with that immediately, Bloom said on MSNBC. We are going to get justice for these victims. We are not giving up. He is not going to escape justice, even in death. Well, moving on, victims may also have the opportunity to file lawsuits against those who might have enabled Epstein's criminal behavior, Kuby said. Quote, there may be other people who get sued, but as of Epstein, he's out of the case forever, Kuby said. One alleged victim, Virginia Roberts Giaffre, now 36, said Epstein and his close associates had ordered her to have sex with several high-powered men when she was 14 years old, according to a 2016 deposition released on Friday. Boom! Quote, "We are hopeful that the government will continue to investigate and will focus on those who participated and facilitated Epstein's horrifying sex trafficking scheme that damaged so many," McCrawley said. Michael Avenatti, attorney for two Epstein victims, echoed Macaulay's words, saying, "In no way, shape, or form can this be the end of the investigation." Siegfried Macaulay, by the way, is the lawyer to Roberts, Giuffre, and other victims, said the fact that Epstein took his own life less than 24 hours after the documents were released, detailing the scope, scale, and sophistication of the international sex trafficking operation Epstein conducted, is no coincidence. In other words, right after 24 hours, in less than 24 hours after those documents were released, detailing all of his little sex crimes, that's when this coward, this sex offender, this sex trafficker, the poster boy for sexual misconduct and predators, Jeffrey Epstein, will forever go down in the history books as that, the poster boy for sex crimes. This is the New Black Media. Please tell me what you think in the comment section. We'll definitely see you in the next video, and that is if you subscribe. Peace.